Welcome to the Self-Publishing School podcast. This is the podcast to listen to if you're an aspiring writer or an author who wants to be more successful. On this show, you'll learn how to write and launch a book successfully, all from the top authors and people just like you who are doing it at the highest level. I'm your host, Chandler Bolt, the founder of Self-Publishing School, the author of the book called Published, and the CEO of selfpublishing.com. For free training on how to publish a book that sells 10,000 copies, go to selfpublishing.com/free training. Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and joining me today is Cary Jack. Cary is a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional actor / model, and the author of a book called The Happy Hustle. And so in this episode, we're going to talk about the happy hustle. What does it mean? How can authors use it to find balance as they write and market books? We're also going to talk about really interesting free plus shipping book funnel, the mechanics. That's something that Cary is using with this launch, and a whole lot more. So Cary, welcome. Great to have you here.
Chandler, man, I feel blessed to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So first off, why write this book?
Well, I mean, this book, like I feel many authors can resonate, scratched my own itch, right? I was a burnt out tech entrepreneur, if you can believe it, in New York City, wearing all the fancy suit and ties. And we inked this 7-figure, VC funding deal and partnerships with Microsoft and IBM. But we were grinding our face off, 100+ hour weeks and getting less than 5 hours of sleep. And I'm just burnt out, man. And I couldn't do it anymore. And I think right now, yes, sure, there's this pandemic going on, whatever you believe in, but there's definitely an epidemic going on, and that's the entrepreneurial burnout epidemic. And so I folded that company. Fast forward, I moved to Bangkok, Thailand for 10 months, figured out a better way to work and live while I was over there, and just kind of broke my life down into these 10 different areas. I call them the 10 alignments, and really just started to look at my life in this holistic approach, both personally and professionally. And so I just started putting the happy in my everyday hustle. And then, other people were asking me, hey, Cary, how are you achieving this blissful balance, both personally and professionally? And so I said, well, maybe there's something here. So I just started putting it into a framework and in book form. And next thing you know, I got the book, the podcast, the events and courses and everything, all happy hustling, a life that you love.
Cool. And so did you start creating the frameworks and teaching it, and then that evolved into a book? Did you start with the book first and then a lot of the other things came about? Like, what was kind of the order of that?
Well, I did it backwards. I started just writing without, like, I know you're big in terms of building it in the proper sequence. I did not do that properly. And my initial, mindset was, let me just start writing like random things, whatever comes to mind, without a real mind map or any type of structure. I just was more randomly writing and putting words on a page, and it was all over the place. And then I actually went through and had to rewrite the book recently with all the different pieces, and then put it together with a system, with a through line, with IP involved, calls to actions. And, it became actually a course first and then the book.
Got it. Okay, cool. And so what did you learn from that? What would be your advice? Because this is a question I get asked all the time. It's like, hey, do I do the book first? Do I do the course first? Kind of feels like this chicken or the egg. You went course, then book. Do you recommend that? And then kind of either way, what were biggest lessons that you learned taking a course and turning it into a book?
Well, I would say you want to essentially look at your target market first and foremost. Like, what is going to be the best medium to reach your perfect target avatar, right? If your perfect avatar is not, necessarily going to consume a 10-hour video course because they're a busy entrepreneur with 100, things going on, well, then maybe you want to, write a book and then make it into an audio version format, because an audio book is more likely to be consumed. So I would say it depends on your business model and who you're serving and the problem you're solving.
Got it. And then what was biggest lessons, or how did you go from, all right, I've got a course, to the book, and any tips for people who might want to follow that same path?
So for me, I created my acronym, the soul mapping framework. It's your soul's map to the blissfully balanced promised land. And it's 10 alignments. I had a 10-day video course that became 10 chapters in the book.
Got it.
It was a seamless transition. Here's the 10 alignments. There's 10 videos involved, but there's 10 chapters, and for me, that process seemed to work well, because once you have branded IP and content, which I highly recommend everyone do, like, you need your own special sauce. You need something that's memorable. And it's really important to have that synergy across these different content platforms, your course, your book, your events, your messaging on social. It needs to have that synergy. And so for me, that was the transition.
That makes a lot of sense. And I love I love the synergy of books and courses, because the book can almost be the curriculum for the course itself. And then the course goes way more in depth than the book can. And so the book sales lead to course sales lead to book sales. And it's kind of this virtuous circle of life between your book and your course, which is really cool. So talk to me about the happy hustle philosophy. You talked about kind of these 10 core alignments and the acronym and all that stuff. What does it mean as a whole? And then let's get super practical on what are the pieces that authors can use, like the happy hustle framework, within the context of writing and marketing their book without burning out.
Yeah, man. Well, if it's cool with you, I'd love to put you through a quick exercise on the spot if you're feeling brave.
Let's do
and
it.
I'd like to also have all your listeners go through it, because I get the most out of podcasts like this when I'm an active participant, not just a passive listener.
Yeah.
So this is the framework that's in the book. And this is something that I recommend all authors go through, because as you're writing, and if as you're an entrepreneur, as you're doing all the different things, it's really important to achieve that blissful balance. I believe balance equals happiness. So I'm going to ask you 10 questions, and I want you to essentially rank where you're at in each of these 10 alignments. 5 would be you're crushing it. You're absolutely happy hustling in this arena. Think of it like an A. I wasn't much for school, but I know the grading scale. Okay, 5 is an A, and then 1 is an F. All right, and be honest with yourself. So I'll ask Chandler. We'll go through first this soul mapping framework. S stands for selfless service. Are you living for yourself, or are you giving back to others, your time, your money, your expertise? Rank where you're at in the last 30 days, 1 to 5, selfless service. And think about it now, and then I'll recap for you. You might want to just jot it down, your number, Chandler, and just think.
I'll just go off. I'll go off I'd say 4.
Okay, 4. O stands for optimize health. Are you mentally and physically optimized, or, are you shoving, garbage food in your pie hole? Where you at? 1 to 5.
4.
Awesome. You unplug digitally. Are you disconnecting from technology and getting outside and, creating barriers for your devices? Or are you constantly listening to, podcasts and watching streaming shows and, on your devices? 1 to 5. Where you at
3.
in this one? L, loving relationships. Are you, having plentiful pleasure and love in your life with your inner circle and your partnerships? Or, maybe have you neglected your family and your friends and your lover? Where you at in this one?
4.
Awesome.
I don't believe
so that's
in 5s.
Well, you're a high performer, so we're tough on ourselves. Okay, so that you got your score. You're at your soul part. Now we're going to get into the mapping part. Remember that score for those, because we're going to add it up at the end. Okay. The mapping part. M stands for mindful spirituality. All right. Are you connecting with the higher power, or are you, maybe just not, meditating or praying or practicing gratitude? Where you at in this one? Mindful spirituality.
Probably 4.
Okay. A, abundance financially. Are you living paycheck to paycheck in fear of your finances, or are you, saving, investing, and spending wisely and feeling abundant?
5.
P, personal development. Are you growing and evolving every day, or are you shrinking and dissolving? Are you listening and reading and watching things that just, give you inspiration and education? Where you at in this
5.
one? Nice, man. You're crushing. Damn. The second P, this is passionate hobbies. Are you doing fun things that you enjoy? You and I are both avid snowboarders. You know, I love fly fishing and horseback riding. It's really important that you, like, especially high performers, that we do fun things for ourselves. But I find this one, a lot of people actually lack because we're just so focused on impact and, you know, and growing our businesses in our books in the process. But where are you at in this one? Passionate hobbies.
3.
Impactful work. Are you actually, you know, creating that life of passion and purpose and making a positive impact with what you do for work? Or maybe you're sacrificing yourself and your soul for a paycheck. Where are you at in this one?
4.
And then nature connection is N. And this is, are you getting outside in nature, connecting with, you know, Pachamama, our beautiful planet? And by the way, are you protecting it? And like being a conscious consumer, voting with your dollar to B corporations and, you know, getting outside. Where are you at in this one?
3.
Awesome. So I hope everyone, we went through that fast, but I hope you all like quantified where you're at in each of these 10 alignments. And this is the book framework, but this is how you achieve blissful balance, both personally and professionally. Now, Chandler, I don't know if you remember your scores, but the goal is to add them up. And if you're 37 or above, congratulations, you're a happy hustler. If you're 36 or below, well, you got some work to do. And this is just a baseline. I would say, just based on where you're at, you're happy hustling. I'm not a mathematician, but did you add yours up by chance?
Yes, I didn't, but somewhere in that range. But it's cool because going through that, you have certain areas which bubble up as like, oh, cool, area of focus, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing too, I'll show you for anyone watching the video version. So I actually, and this is a cool thing that I did with my book, but I believe balance isn't a finite destination. It's a never ending journey. It requires these constant tweaks, adjustments, pivots. So I take my own medicine. I do that same assessment every single Sunday. And I look at the week prior, and then I prioritize change based on where I'm lacking. And so I actually created this blissful balancer. It's a whiteboard fridge magnet. I think you got one, right, Chandler?
Yep.
So this parlays with my book. And this is a way to keep track of your blissful balance in each of these 10 different alignments with an action task. So for selfless service, maybe you put down, hey, did I volunteer 15 minutes today? You know, or even just give 15 minutes of expertise to someone in need. And it's binary. Did I do it? Yes or no. And then at the end of the week, you can keep track of where you're actually at and where you need to change. And that's one thing I would recommend to all the authors out there is this is a way to increase your average cart value. If you create some type of asset that actually parlays with the book framework.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. That's really, really great. Thanks for walking through that, Cary. Hey, Chandler Bolt here. I hope you're loving this episode so far. It's time to go from inspiration to implementation. All right, so if you've learned something, we want to help you implement what you've learned with your book. So what I want you to do right now is go to selfpublishing.com/schedule, book a publishing consultation with one of the experts on my team. We'll talk about your goals for your book, your dreams, your challenges, your next steps, and we'll start putting together a plan. All right, so go to selfpublishing.com/schedule, book a call with the team. Let's see how we can help with your book. It's time to implement. Yeah. I think we're going to, the average cart value, I think I'm going to earmark that. I think we're going to come back to that when we talk about free plus shipping funnel stuff later. I'm curious. I know before this interview, you mentioned, hey, I'm going to publish the book on Amazon on down the road, but didn't publish it on Amazon to start. So what was the kind of the thought process and strategy behind that?
Well, the thought process was I can make a lot more money and a lot more impact through my funnel. And I can control the flow and I can leverage my network with a free plus shipping funnel and not give Amazon a big chunk of the pie. That was the mindset, you know. So I had a phenomenal funnel builder build my funnel, and I have a free plus shipping book funnel. You can go to thehappyhustlebook.com, even if you just want to, like, you know, take a look at how it's built. And then I have, you know, this free, I'm sure a lot of your authors are familiar with it, but it's free, but you pay for shipping and handling. Then I have an OTO, a one-time offer of my audiobook and an extra copy plus 3 expert masterclasses that I did as a $19 order bump. And I have a 34% take rate on that. So the offer is already profitable just because a third of people actually get the OTO. It's profit. It's break even on the front if they just got the book. But then when you sprinkle in the OTO as a $19 order bump, then you're already profitable. Then the next step in the funnel is my actual course and the Blissful Balancer, right? So then I have a $47 one-time offer for my course mixed with my Blissful Balancer. Normally it's $97. So, and that has, I think, like a 22% take rate. Then my next step, I have two different offers that I'm testing. One is, it's called the Happy Hustle Club. It's a $197 a month, recurring membership model. And then I also have a one-on-one phone call with me that I'm testing, because I love to get on with readers and really just, help them like that. Like, I don't do coaching or consulting personally. I'm not in the trading my time for money business as much as possible. I'd like to create scalable things, but I do love to connect with happy hustlers and aspiring happy hustlers. So I made this phone call. And then my fourth step in the funnel is my thank you page. And that has my podcast, links to all the different things. And then I have my highest ticket offer, which is my Montana Mastermind Epic Camping Adventure, where I take high-level entrepreneurs in the backcountry Montana wilderness for 5 days. And we teach them primitive survival skills, fly fishing. We have a business mastermind completely off the grid after hiking in 12 miles and camping out in the beautiful wilderness, which hopefully you can come to one of them, bro, because I feel like it's up your alley.
That's awesome. That is up my alley. That's amazing, man. How do you get, so for people who are thinking, so you kind of broke down the mechanics of the funnel. That's awesome. Appreciate you doing that. And for those who aren't familiar, I know we kind of went quickly through that funnel framework, but for those who aren't familiar with the free plus shipping book funnel concept, you can check out, I'm trying to see it's page 181 in my new book published. I walk through kind of
great read, by the way.
Thanks. I appreciate it. It goes through kind of some of the mechanics and the funnel strategy behind, well, let me see, maybe it's not page 181. It's, there it is, page 186. Kind of walk through the mechanics of a free plus shipping book funnel. How do you get traffic for that funnel? And what's kind of the average cost to acquire a customer, your average cart value, all that stuff? What do those numbers look like?
Yeah. So traffic is the name of the game when you have a free plus shipping book funnel. And right now it's been warm traffic through my network, podcasts like this, and, just my inner circle, like promoting it. I now am launching an affiliate program for the book funnel, where I have swipe templates, 50% rev share at the time of this recording, like a whole like model. I have a bunch of my friends who have millions on their email lists that will send for it. And then a portion of them convert, we split the rev, and the funnel, is profitable because of the second, the third, and the fourth upsells, right? If you're just, if you don't have other offers, I would say maybe a free plus shipping book funnel right now isn't the right move for you, for all the authors, just to like keep it real, it is a great strategy, but you need to have higher ticket offers on the back end in order to make your front end profitable.
It's a great distinction.
Yeah, it's just important. We have about a $37 average cart value, not including the fourth upsell. Our Montana masterminds, sometimes it's close to $5 to $10 grand, depending on which trip you go on. So when I sprinkle in that, it just sways the ACV super high. But we have like a 0.6% conversion on that. So, but still one converts out of, it's still, it makes it super profitable. But, and then just to acquire a customer, it just depends on your traffic. I haven't been running ads or anything to it. It's just been all warm traffic right now. And I'm letting that kind of, go like test the funnel, make sure it works and converts and copy. And then you pour a fire on it with the affiliate program and paid traffic.
Yep, that's smart. You mentioned previously, or kind of right before we were on this call, that you had a book. I think it was with the previous company that you were working, that you guys moved like 60,000 copies of a book through a free plus shipping funnel or something like that. How'd you do it? What were the main kind of traffic sources?
Yeah, same thing. So I was partners in a biohacking company. So I'm, big in health and performance, and I ran point on this biohacking company, and my business partner wrote a book that did really well. It was before the biohacking craze even. And we would make social media videos at one a day. one a day when the Facebook algorithm was favorable, and it would drive traffic to the book funnel. We would also, we had an affiliate model where we, would give a portion of it away. And we had a free plus shipping book. Then we had the second page of the funnel had a $199 lifetime access to the membership, or the downsell was like a $37 a month and a t-shirt, came with it. And then the third step was apply for our biohacking coaching program. And we were selling 25K coaching programs, like it's hot. And so the funnel was super profitable, especially for affiliates, because the third step in the funnel, coaching was such a high ticket. It's all relative, but for free plus shipping book funnels, to get someone to pay $895 on the front end and then the 25K program on the back end, that makes it super profitable for affiliates. So we grew through affiliates, and then we did paid traffic. So we had paid traffic partners. So
that makes sense. Awesome. Which came first? I know you get the podcast now. Which came first, the podcast or the book? And how, if at all, has the podcast helped sell copies of the book?
The podcast came first. Technically I was writing the book before I started the podcast.
Yeah.
But the podcast, I started it, I believe, November 2019. And, I committed to 200 episodes. I said, you know what, if no one listens or if everyone listens, I'm going to do 200 episodes, and fortunately now apparently we're, top 0.5% globally ranked podcast based on downloads, and it's growing every day. And what's cool about a podcast is it builds the know, like, and trust in a scalable fashion, and you can drive traffic and advertise your own products and services on it for free. I have sponsors and affiliates as well, but that's, one of the perks of a podcast, among getting to connect with awesome people like you, Chandler. It's like you get to meet, like I was on right before this with Andre Berto, the world championship boxer. And, he fought Floyd Mayweather, and he's friends with Tyson. And, it's just like, when would I get to meet this guy? Like, he's friends with Gary Vee and Ed Milet and all these people. Now I'm like, helping him with his biz. It's just like podcasting opens up doors, man. Yeah. So it's just really, and then yes, you drive traffic to your book. So it definitely helps sales.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, Cary, kind of final question I have for you. Knowing what you know now, what would be your parting piece of advice for all the Cary of however long ago before you wrote this book? And all the other Carys out there who are thinking about or about to write their first book?
I would 100% say you want to have a structured framework for writing your book. And I know you have that, Chandler, with Self-Publishing School. And that's not even like a plug, but it is, because you need it. Like Chandler didn't pay me to say that, but you need that system. You need that structure, and you also need a mentor. You need like someone who has actually written a book and who can help you avoid those pitfalls, and that coach. And I know you guys have, coaches in your program as well. And it's just really important. If I was to do it all over again for my next book, for instance, I'm doing it in such a better format, because I was kind of all over the place, and then I tried to piece it together. But you really have to get crystal clarity around, okay, what problem do you want to solve with your book? And who exactly do you want to solve it for? And then what's your special sauce, right? Like what's different about this book, your uniqueness. And I know you and I both are friends with Rory Vaden, and he talks a lot about those 3 questions within the Brand Builders Group curriculum. But as an author, you really want to get like that structured framework. You want to have a mentor, and you want to make sure that you know who you're writing for and what problem your book is solving.
Yeah, that's great. This has been awesome, Cary. Thank you so much. Yeah, where can people go to find out more about you and to grab a copy of your book?
Yeah, if they want, they can go to thehappyhustlebook.com. You can check out the funnel. You can even reverse engineer it. Hey, go for it. The other place would be, just the podcast, the Happy Hustle podcast, CaryJack.com, and Cary Jack on all places, social media. But yeah, man, I appreciate you and everyone out there. Like, I'm super stoked about this topic, because my book, it's a real labor of love. And I just give kudos to everyone out there getting after it, listening to this podcast, writing their book. Like, just don't quit, finish the job, and you will transform lives with the book. Like it really has the power to impact so many people. I mean, I'm sure, Chandler, as you know, when you get that feedback from like someone who's your book actually impacted, it's such a great feeling. And it's just powerful. So I just am so stoked about this topic. And yeah, if you guys want to know more about me, I'd love to connect with you. And here's one thing I'm just going to say to anyone out there who is listening. Like, my time is my most valuable commodity, like Chandler, and I'm really passionate about helping other authors. So if you actually do pick up a copy of my book and you send me a DM on IG with your biggest takeaway, I'll have my team send over a 20-minute Calendly booking link, and we'll get on a call and I'll help you however I can. Happy hustle your dream reality.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Well, Cary, you're the man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Peace and love, y'all.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Self-Publishing School podcast. I know there's so many places that you can be spending your time. There's other podcasts that you could be listening to, YouTube channels that you could be watching. So thank you so much. It means the world. Now, I want you to do 3 things right now if you found this episode helpful. All right, number 1, I don't know if you know this, but we've got a YouTube channel. It's a companion channel to this podcast. All the video versions of the episode are on the YouTube channel. So number 1, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Number 2, if you're listening to this podcast wherever, whether this is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, number 2, I want you to subscribe to this podcast right now so you don't miss a future episode. And then number 3, this is probably the most important, leave a review on the podcast. All right, reviews are super important and help the podcast get discovered by other people. So number 3, leave a review on the podcast. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode. If you're on the fence about scheduling a publishing consultation call with my team, maybe you're not quite ready for that, I've got some free training that I think will be really helpful for you. All right, all you have to do is go to register to sign up. Go to selfpublishing.com/free training. When you do, you're also going to get a free digital copy of my new book published. And on that training, you're going to learn the next steps of how to implement with your book. So how to write, how to publish, how to launch successfully. So go to register right now at selfpublishing.com/free training. I'll see you there.